All right, it's going back in the SHTF garden today, and we're going to do some tomato pruning and tying them up. Looks like something ate part of one of my tomatoes. All right, so tomatoes, if you don't prune them, they become huge and bushy. These are way behind on being pruned. I have been busy and haven't had time to get to them. Let's find a good example. So something chewed the grow tip off of that one. I'll have to, I guess, hopefully choose the grow tip off of that one. So I'll end up having to cut one of these out and let it form another sucker. But anyways, let's get on with this stuff. So suckers, like there's a great example right there. Suckers are what they call a stem that comes off of the main stem that will form a whole new growth. So you got your main stem coming up here. So we can go down to the base here. We got a main stem coming up, 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 up. Up, 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 and then it winds off and you have a branch here and it keeps going, and then right in the 45 degrees of that 90 degrees starts another growth stem. Now this right here, if I let it grow, will just continue to grow and it'll get its own suckers, it'll get its own leaves, it'll get its own fruit and everything else. So if you have the space, you can let them go crazy and you'll get probably more production. But I have them really closely planted, so I can't let them go crazy. So I just need to cut them off. Boom, that one's gone. And the great thing about this with propagation goes, if you only have a handful of seeds and you let them get some big suckers, you can take these suckers off of here and you can stick them in some water and they'll root. And you can end up getting some free plants that way. So if you bought any of your stuff, then let it go a little crazy and then go ahead and do some pruning. All right, so we're gonna go down to the base here. I wanna prune this branch right here off. It kills me to prune this much, because I'm losing out, but it's sticking out in the walkway and I don't want that, so I'm just gonna chop that off. These can go in the compost. Another reason for pruning is I have the straw down here to help prevent water splash coming up, but you still want to have a bit of distance between the bottom of the plant and the bottom branches and the stem, so that the leaves. So we're gonna go ahead and prune up. It's tall enough now where I can prune up a good little ways. That way I can help prevent anything from splashing. So let's do a little bit more pruning on this one. We're just gonna cut out some of these branches. That'll help provide some better airflow, help make diseases less likely. I mean, they seem to come eventually anyways, but delay the diseases. So now you don't have as much stuff. Okay, so we're gonna have to do a little bit more pruning because I let them go so long. And although it kills me to do it, to cut this much off of one plant, I could, and in fact I may do it just to show that you can. Stick these in some water. There, you can cut off some of these bottom leaves and I can stick this in water and get a hold of the tomato plant. I got plenty of tomatoes, so I really don't need any more, but I may do that anyways just to demonstrate it. And you know, if I can find some room to put it, then that'd be great too. Some of this grass out of here. The mulch helps, but it's not perfect. So that gives me a bit of a barrier now between the mulch and the bottom leaves. Now of course, because I have them so packed in here, I want to be able to try and keep my plants to themselves instead of having them, the overgrowth, get to all kinds of other plants. So I'm gonna go ahead and tie that one up too. And here we go. I just have some regular old cotton string. So I'm gonna go ahead and tie that up. All right, so over here is a couple of things I want to show on this side. First off, I have some smaller tomatoes that were actually come from over there where my volunteer cherry tomatoes are, so it should be a cherry. I'm gonna allow more of these extra stems to come off in the back because they're gonna grow into this fence, and that's fine. So I'm not too worried about those when it comes to staking. And not all these suckers are huge, like they take time to grow out. Like you can look at this and see that, see I just had it a second ago. Where is like this right here is a little sucker. This little thing, you just pinch that right off. Boom, it's done. This is a sucker coming off of here. Because it's going into the fence, I want to keep it. You could do a single stem, you trail one stem up the stake, and that's what a lot of people do. and keep some more compact plant, better airflow. I'm probably gonna do about 2 stems on most of these. Like these ones that are in the back, I'm just gonna kind of let them go in the back and kind of prune the front part. Like here's one right here, and just that's angled this way, so I want to get rid of that, so that we don't have any suckers coming that way. See, here's a nice little cluster of flowers. Hopefully, be giving me some fruit soon. This is a sucker. So I'll just snap that one off. You can see where this is trying to start, and you can just pinch them. You can see over here where this is almost got damaged. Just gonna pinch that off too. I'm gonna do some more pruning. Okay, so what we got going on, like in this case, I'm keeping 2 of these stems. There was another one right here I trimmed off. It looks real nice. I might even put that one in some water. Throw a little fruit drop on the rest, so I can identify it. Because I think this might be my mortgage lifter by looking at the shape of the tomato. I don't know, because I didn't label these when I put them in. I had them all labeled, and then the frost came and killed some, and I had to put replacements in, and everything got all mixed up. But anyways, go through and you can see where I've been taking off some of these suckers. I still got some production flowers, tips coming off. I got some tomatoes starting to form, but you got your nice where to find the suckers, growth stem, side shoots for leaves, and it'll come right out of the 45. So I got this one. I went ahead and see, this is a sucker right here, but here again, this one's going towards that fence, so I'm not too worried about that because it's going to be supported by a fence. But in this part, I want it to keep it somewhat clean, so I got, you know, a little bit of a row of air where some air can get there. I mean, there's a lot of cross leaves and things like that that I may eventually trim some out. But these plants are going to get to be huge, so they are going to bump up against each other. But I want to be able to have some airflow going. I want to be able to have some distance where I don't have a lot of leaves and things like that that can get infected right close to the ground. Because I want to be able to have as little disease problems as possible. So I don't want leaves trailing all over the ground. Let's trim out all the stuff close by down here. And they get a little taller, can go higher up, but I don't want to over prune them. I did prune a heavy amount off of these. I have some in pots. Those will probably get pruned. One of them is in a pot that's way too small for it. So that one I'll probably prune, and then when it gets so high, I'll just cut the growth tip off. That way, here's another sucker to pull off. Just pinch that one right there while I'm talking. Because the pot is so small. And if I want to be able to have the tomato being healthy, I can make up for some of the pot size with extra water and fertilizer, but there's only so much you can do with a pot that's too small. So I'll end up cutting the growth tip off, and hopefully I just get production on the lower leaves, lower limbs. But anyways, that's going to be for that, and I can go around and do some more pruning. Like they got a bunch of ones over here that aren't even staked up, maybe staked up and pruned. So I'm going to get to that. Okay, so this bed has been pruned up and tied up. This one has a sucker I left down at the bottom. Not that I want that to be. Hopefully I'll get a sucker up here towards the top. In fact, I had one I picked off there the other day. I wish I'd have left it. Something ate the top of that, so the growth points are all gone off of that. So my new growth point at this point in time is that one down there. So it'll grow up and become a stem, and I'll tie it along this. Unless I get one higher up, then I'll pick a higher up one. But you can see I took a lot of vegetation off. Pained me to do it, but had to be done. But there's much better airflow now. Now the breeze can get through there, keep the leaves dry. And the good healthy looking plants, I took off a lot. The reason why I got this out of control, I was out of town and things like that, and just didn't have time to get to it. So now I have finally gotten to this. I have some other ones. I'm gonna drop some stakes in over here and get to working on those tomatoes. But I want to be able to leave some room in the back also for some light to get to my tomatoes that are planted in the back that are smaller, and because they need to be able to have a chance to really grow also. There's 7 dust on this because I was having those little flea beetles eating holes in my potato leaves. Try to keep it away from the flowers so I don't get any bees if possible. It was sprinkling earlier, so I thought it was going to rain and wash off the satin dust for me, but apparently it hasn't. So when I come out here and water, I have to be sure to rinse all that off because I don't want to take out any bees or anything like that if possible. If you're using satin dust, you gotta be careful, or any kind of dust that kills, organic or otherwise, because it kills an insect, it'll kill an insect. So I was careful not to get any on the flowers because I try to limit the destruction. All right. So anyways, these are just kind of all haphazard because they haven't even been staked or tied or anything. So they're starting to vine along the ground here. So what I want to do is slap a stake in there and tie it and prune it. These are a bit more out of hand because they got damaged by the cold. So they've more or less sprouted like a bush everywhere. I have a few of them that are like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and see what I can do to fix that. If nothing else, I'll just tie the whole mass up to a, to a stake. But just the key to that part is just when you're dropping a stake in, if it's late in the game like this, just don't put it too close to the plant because the roots are right there. So I'll probably come back here and do it. And it may kill a root or two anyway, but not the entire kit and caboodle. All right. So here's what we got with these ones in the pots. I'm saying like this pot, this one I was talking about in particular earlier. Like these ones with holes in the bottom, roots will go through and into the ground. This one I don't think has that. So it's limited to what little bit of soil's in that. So I'm gonna have to keep this one small, this plant. So keep that one nice and pruned. Hopefully it'll still produce. Over here, can't wait, I'm about to get some squash out of that. This is a super sweet 100 hybrid. It's really skinny, a little damaged by the cold. It's come back kind of crazy and bushing out everywhere. Some kind of way I lost my roll of string I had. So this is the only one that hasn't been tied up yet. Hopefully I'll get that going. And but that's it on pruning. Tomatoes, you can let them go crazy bush style. You can even let them go all over the ground, although I wouldn't recommend it. At least want to get them up off the ground so you can not have all your stuff eaten by insects and birds and everything else. Birds do love cherry tomatoes. 90 degrees between the grow stem. 90 degrees between that grow stem and that leaf. Out here comes the sucker. You can let it grow wild and free, be as big a bush as it wants to be, and just kind of have it all crazy, tied up all different ways, maybe even more than one stake, unless you got it on some kind of fence or something like that, or you can have it pruned down to one single stemming, as they call it, where you just have one main stem. You just keep tied up and you keep cutting the suckers off and just let it go up and produce flower clusters. Or you can have two growth stems like a lot of mine over there do, or however you want to do it. It's your plant and you do it however you want. But tomatoes are very productive plants. So that's it for pruning tomatoes. As always, enjoy your day in the garden. Like, share, subscribe. SHTF Garden out.